is, the heart contributes to what we do, and what we do contributes to what we know contributes to what we are, which is our heart, and it's vice versa. So even if we are clued in that we have a sound mind and this and that, if there's any part of our heart that's corrupted, it will live it out through our mind, no matter what we do, because it boils out. Things inside of us boil it. Whatever our center is, whatever's in our heart, eventually makes it into our mind and then out into what we do. So if our hearts are not pure, somehow our motives, our perspective, something is corrupted. It twists us. So have a pure heart. This is the sign of a pure heart. And God will bless you, and you will see Him. I don't know. I'd love to see God. Number 9, verse 9. God blesses those who work for peace, for they will be called the children of God. So if your desire is for peace, then you'll be known as God's children, because God always works for peace in everything. So we should strive for peace in our relationships, nations, governments, churches, friends, whatever it is. Because God doesn't desire for us to be at each other's throats in any level of anything. We should always be at peace with one another, working things out. So if you go live your life day by day, striving for peace with one another and in everything you do, you'll be known as God's children, because you're reflecting the character of God into the world. The light of the world. It's great. So do that. Next verse. God blesses those who are persecuted because they live for God, for the kingdom of heaven is theirs. Continuing. God blesses you when you are mocked and persecuted and lied about, because you are my followers. Be happy about it. Be very glad, for a great reward awaits you in heaven. And remember, the ancient prophets were persecuted too. I like this verse because it brings me back into perspective, because it says you will be persecuted, mocked, whatever, because you are my followers. And then later on, when Jesus is talking about the vine and the branches before he's getting crucified with his disciples, he says, you will be hated because I was. This world will hate you because you are my followers. So if you are truly following God and you're not being persecuted in any way, mocked, lied about, called a blasphemer, called a hypocrite, all that stuff that Jesus is also dealing with in his lifetime, then you're not living out what you're supposed to. Because if we're supposed to be like Jesus, the world's going to mock us and call us blasphemers and hypocrites, which is what they're doing. We've got this twisted corruptness somewhere in our Christian doctrine that if the world doesn't think Christians are all nice and doing things for everybody, then we're doing it wrong, because Jesus loves everybody. Yeah, he did. And he got crucified for it. So, I mean, if the world thinks we're all lovey-dovey, then we're not being persecuted and we're not following God correctly. Because Jesus tells us we're going to be persecuted. Be happy about it. I don't know. It's another perspective thing. Okay, we're going to move on, because I'm going to run out of time if I keep getting all passionate about stuff. So we're just going to take a step back and look at the crowd again. So the first, 12 verses, 12 sentences Jesus speaks, which takes all of a minute on this mountaintop. And he's not pausing and talking about it. He's just like, blessed are the poor in spirit. Blessed are... So I imagine the crowd's still stuck on number 1. Did you hear what he just said? Did he really say that? How could the poor in spirit ever inherit the kingdom? They can't even bring worthy sacrifices to the temple. How are they supposed to inherit the kingdom? I'm bringing my cows and my cattle. They can't even bring a bird. They got to catch it and sacrifice it. I'm bringing all my livestock. I'm sacrificing good Why don't I inherit the kingdom? Yeah, I don't know. I feel like the crowd is still stuck and not really paying attention. Because later on, Jesus informs them. But anyways, so he continues as they're distracted. He talks about salt and light. He goes, verse 13. You are the salt of the earth. But what good is salt if it loses its flavor? Can you make it useful again? It will be thrown out and trampled underfoot as worthless. Now there's a couple historical things here. Salt's flavoring. We still use it for that. But back in their times, it was like a refrigerator. You had a big bin of salt and you threw everything in it because it would preserve your food better. Interesting imagery there. Moving on. You are the light of the world, like a city on a mountain, glowing on the night for all to see. Don't hide your light under a basket. Instead, put it on the stand and let it shine for all. The same way, let your good deeds shine out for all to see, so that everyone will praise your heavenly Father. And I love the analogies of light and darkness in the Bible. The imagery is so powerful because a lot of here's another perspective thing. We get stuck like it's a light versus darkness battle, or we're doing this with the darkness of the world all the time. But if you've ever flipped a light switch in your life, does the light have to fight the darkness, get out of the room and into the corners? No, you flip the light switch, it's gone. Darkness is not something in itself. Rather, darkness is the lack of light in the room. So if it's a dark world and we're the light of the world, it's not that we're fighting the darkness. It's that the light hasn't overcome it. The darkness, it's not a big fight. It's the lack of light. So we just need to spread the light. And everything will be seen. It's cool stuff. So, see light versus darkness, not as a headbutting thing, and more of we need more light bulbs. Let's go to the store and buy more light bulbs. So, I'm running out of time, so we're just going to do this last section so that I can wrap up here. Verse 17. Don't misunderstand why I have come. I do not come to abolish the law of Moses or the writings of the prophets. No, I came to fulfill them. I assure you, until heaven and earth disappear, even the smallest detail of God's law will remain until its purpose is achieved. So if you break the smallest commandment and teach others to do the same, you will be the least in the kingdom of heaven. But anyone who obeys God's law and teaches them will be great in the kingdom of heaven. But I warn you, unless you obey God better than the teachers of the religious law and the Pharisees do, you can't enter the kingdom of heaven at all. Why does Jesus take the time and insert this? Guys, I'm not here to abolish the law. Because they're still freaking out about him saying that all these things. Everything Jesus is saying is almost, if it isn't in their minds, it's blatantly contradicting everything they've been taught their entire life about how to live. So Jesus says, don't misunderstand. I'm not here to tell you you're stupid. If someone came in here today and said, hey guys, you're supposed to be worshiping me, would you not take a second and be like, did he just say that? Who does he think he is? I think they're doing the same thing right here. The crowd is going, who does this guy think he is? But let's go one step further and really get this. They had just seen Jesus heal the sick, the lame, the paralyzed, all the sick people that came to him, cast out demons. They know this guy has power and that he knows his stuff. He claims to be called the Son of God. So it wasn't like a crazy possessed demon guy was telling them these things. This is why they stay and listen. Someone who could do what no other human had ever been able to do was teaching them these things that seemed to be against the laws of God. Which is why Jesus takes the time in the middle of his, or beginning of his extravagant message that probably lasted the day, as he says, don't misunderstand me. I am who you think I am. And I'm not here to destroy the law. I'm here to fulfill it. To teach you better. So, I'm going to land this thing somewhere. We didn't get through everything I wanted to. That's all right. But I want to challenge you. Read what Jesus says here throughout chapter 5, 6, 7. And really challenge yourself to dig in and think about it. Jesus is asking us to live in this way. I challenge you to read it, even once a month. Like, do your devotions and all that. Do that good stuff. And then take the time to really read and understand the words of Jesus. He talks about anger, integrity, lust, sin, giving, prayer, money, materialism, judging others, true disciples, fruits. He hits all the things we struggle with the most. And we really just need to soak in what he's telling us to do. Because if we truly live in the way he asks us to, it will affect the earth. We will be the revival. The light will shine if we live in this way. And we won't have to find the next 10 steps, the best evangelism way to reach these people. It'll be I'm living as Jesus did. And the people who are mocking me and persecuting me are supposed to. And I will reach out and touch the ones God leads me to. Just like Jesus did. And that will radically change the world. So I want you to just bow your head, close your eyes. I'm not going to invite you up here. You can if you want to, if you feel led to. But I'm just going to challenge us. This stuff won't happen overnight. It takes a constant renewing of your mind. The Bible tells us to transform ourselves by the renewing of our mind. Why would the Bible tell us to do that if it wasn't possible? Transforming your mind takes effort. It's like training yourself to think differently. Athletes train themselves multiple times a day, beating their bodies into submission until it reacts and acts in the way they want it to. And that's how you renew your mind. Multiple times a day. You train your mind to think differently, to think kingdomly. Correct yourself. So I want to challenge us to, as we're sitting here with our eyes closed, we just really dig in and purify our hearts and learn to live by the words of Jesus, because we are called to be like him, live like him, and walk as he did. So I want you just to take a moment and really commit yourself to reading the words of Jesus and challenging yourself to think differently and to live by the words he says. And that will be the revival that has been talked about throughout generations. Things that will really change the world are the simple things that Jesus tells us to do.